Hey everyone, today we are going to do a French Provincial makeover. Well, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer than today, but I want to just show you how this went. I bought these on Marketplace. There wasn't anything wrong with them except for this middle piece here, the glide, just needed to be cleaned up. So I cleaned that up with some Silvo and just got it sliding smoothly, and this did work well. You can also use sandpaper. You can sand it and then you can put on a primer. That is what I was told that you can do to help make these not rusted anymore. Then I'm going to prime them. I did a little bit of sanding. I'm going to prime them with Dixie Belle's Boss. This is the best primer I've found so far. And then colors. So I decided to go for a light pink as a base color. So I'm just mixing a couple colors. I've got a light pink as well as a plum color. I was thinking about putting the gray in there because I was trying to go off an idea I saw on Pinterest, but I didn't end up using gray at all. I ended up just making this really pretty pink color, and then I was deciding that I'll just actually make it so that it just has a fade. So you can see here, you can use chalk paints. If you use a mineral paint to mix paints, sometimes you'll have issues. So my suggestion would be to use chalk paint. So here I am, I'm just getting this piece all done, getting it the one coat. That'll be a nice little coat for the first coat. And then as you can see, I've got something going on in the background as well. I might actually try and match that to these pieces or just sell them separately. So, I mean, you can do sets. Sets sometimes sell. I have sold Alice in Wonderland sets. Sometimes you just sell piece by piece, and that goes fast. It's just up to whatever's going on and what people need. So anyway, you can try sets. You can try not. This is obviously going to be whimsical because it is French Provincial. So I love doing whimsical pieces with the French Provincial makeovers. I just find that you're going to find a lot of beige pieces and a lot of neutrals and stuff. And while that's really beautiful, I just find that it's fun to change things up, to do things whimsical, to do things a little bit artsy, and to have fun with my painting. So we'll get this all done. I always spray some water on the piece before I put paint down. This just helps move the paint around. So remember, if you are painting and you're just new to it, put the water down in a light coat before you paint. You don't want it to bunch up, just a light spray that will move your paint around. And always make sure that you have the best brushes. So I use Dixie Belle's brushes. I find that they are just very good at not creating lines. They're just great brushes. And they're roughly around $40 here in Canada. And you want to make sure you have an angled brush, and you want to make sure that you have a flat brush. These are the Dixie Belle mini brushes. So you can buy some probably at your local hardware store, and they might be just as good, but this is what I chose. And so I am using a mineral paint, and I'm using a chalk paint now. I'm going to be doing a blend. I've got numerous brushes. I've got a dry brush. I've got one with a darker color. I've got one with a lighter color, and then I'm just going to blend those. And here you can see I'm putting the dark around the edges, to give it that illusion of antique and like older, whimsical. And then I'm going to be putting the lighter in the middle. I did just the light pink as a first coat just because it goes well with what I'm doing here. So I just did little portions. I do little portions at a time. I tried to section off, so you're better off. Otherwise, your paint will dry. You want to keep your paint wet when you're doing this. I am blending a chalk paint into a mineral paint, so that takes a little bit more work, but it still does work. So anyways, if you can do just chalk paints, which I could have done with a Plum Crazy with this piece. However, I just went with the Fusion. They're very close, the Plum Crazy and the Winchester. Fusion's Winchester. But it's just what it just worked out that I used Fusion. Fusion does have that built-in top coat. And so, I mean, it just worked out, and it actually just made it super tough, this piece. So I'm using an oval brush. You want to use an oval brush if you can on pieces like this when you're blending like this, because using a straight brush, you're not going to get a good blend. You might. I had a hard time doing it. So I used an oval brush just to get those corners, get as close to the sides as I could, and it worked out quite well. It was just a little bit bigger of an oval brush that I bought at a hardware store here in Calgary. So if you can find one of those, a really good one, you're going to pay a little bit more for it, pay for it. It will just last you so much longer. It's worth it. It's worth it because as well, the strokes in the paint, you won't notice as much if you use a better brush. Okay, so I'm just going to get this one all done up. This is the first coat. I'm going to be doing 2 coats of the blending. Make sure if you are doing a blend like this that you have no lines. If you have lines, you won't be able to blend it on the second coat. So you want to make sure that it's blended like this in the first coat. And so then the second coat, you'll notice that it'll go on and it will just look really good and more of a natural blend. So it takes a little bit of time, but you'll figure it out just like I did. Took me a few times to get the blending. I've watched Brush by Brandy a million times probably because she's just an amazing blender. I call her the blender queen, so I'm trying to live up to her. Then we've got a 600 grit sanding paper. This is to make the top smooth. It makes it so smooth when you finish. So this is obviously after my second coat. And you don't have to blend after each, or sorry, you don't have to sand after each coat. You can. I've done it on a few pieces. However, if you do it on the top, I mean, as long as you are trusting yourself, you make the right decisions. So anyway, here's what it looks like with the colors. These are the final these are the final shades for that, for the main piece. Then I'm gonna bring in some accent. I'm gonna bring in some gold. This is Poshchalk Gold pigments, and I'm gonna mix it with Dixie Belle's clear satin top coat. It is a top coat. I'm using a top coat because this is going to be the gold. You want it to be durable as an accent. So I'm mixing it with this top coat. I like it. It is also a chalk paint base, so it mixes quite well. And if you are using chalk paint for the first few times, it is very forgivable. You could give it to your kids. They could paint. I'm going to use a spoon to get the paint out, just the end of the spoon. And that will mix the paint up quite nicely. There's obviously no wind outside today, otherwise I wouldn't have mixed it outside, but there was no wind. The Poshchalk will get swept up right away, but there was no wind, so I got that mixed up, and you can just see that's the light gold, and it just is so pretty. It's so pretty. So I use Poshchalk gold pigments quite a bit. Yeah, their rule is a little goes a long way, so I just use a little bit. I'm going to use this stencil. I believe this stencil is by Poshchalk as well. Poshchalk is out of the UK. If you do use the stencil, make sure that you have the flat brush and you don't put a lot of paint on. Otherwise, it will seep underneath the stencil and it will just be awful, and you'll be upset because now you got to sand it or wipe it down and do it all over again. So I just use a flat brush. I use a little bit of paint, and and it works out perfectly. These didn't have anything underneath. I used just a tiny bit of paint on there, and it looks so smart, so whimsical, and looks just so cool on this piece. Yeah, I love it. I'm putting gold on the side, and then I'm going to use the same stencil, and I'm going to put black on top. As you can see, I did the stenciling on top. I'm using this clear wax. I'm going to put that on. This is a sealant. You can put it on as many times as you want, but you're going to put the wax on. Then you're going to take the wax off. Wax on, wax off. So funny. Anyway, so you'll take the wax off, and you're still going to have wax on there, but this also is protections because I am using a black wax. So what I've been taught by other furniture artists is that you put the clear wax on first, put your dark wax on over top in case you make a mistake. However, you can take that wax off. If you end up forgetting about the clear wax, you can take the wax off. You can take the wax off by putting the clear wax on over top of it. That will help get the wax off. I've made mistakes before where I haven't put clear wax on underneath. And I've gotten it off with clear wax anyway. So you can do that easily enough. A lot of times too, I'll just use a wax and I won't put clear wax on it underneath because with chalk paint, it's quite absorbent to the wax. So I just find it kind of looks and just goes on better if I just put the wax on. So, but to each their own, right? It's up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with. Like I said with this piece, I'm putting on that clear wax. I do want it to be durable, and I want this piece to last. So the extra wax will just give it more of a nice tough coat, I guess you could say. So I'm just going to go over this. I'm going to get the excess wax off and just go with how I feel about how it looks and get as much dimension as I can in this piece so that it looks just incredible, like it's meant to. And it's meant to last. These French provincial pieces, they are so well built and they're just so gorgeous that they should be lasting for hundreds of years. So I'm going to put this decoupage on. I use Mod Podge to put it on. I put a coat underneath. When I'm putting this on the side of the drawers, I put Mod Podge underneath. Once that's dry, I put Mod Podge over top. Then I'm going to top coat with this 2x Rust-oleum Paint+Primer. That's going to go on this piece on the top. I love this as a top coat. It does go on quite well, and I find that it protects against water and nicks and stuff like that. Make sure if you do use this that you go in small sections and that you make sure that it is even coated. It needs to be even coated because if you just are putting it on for the first time, you're going to probably notice that it's patchy looking. And plus this is a matte. If you put it on, go in small areas, make sure that you are a little bit further away from your piece so that it doesn't bunch up either in liquid like in spots. It's just one of those things that practice makes perfect. This is a few times I've used this, so me putting this on right now, it actually worked out quite well. I went in small little patches. I made sure that the coat was even, so that I only had to do it one time. You can use a gloss underneath. You can put gloss first and then put the matte on. That does make it work well too. However, if you just want to put one coat on, then this is your 2x Paint+Primer top coat. I know it says primer, but it works well as a top coat. I'm cleaning up the hardware. I'm going to get that all ready and dried, cleaned and dried, and I'm going to paint it black. Caviar. Caviar by Dixie Belle is a nice black paint, and once again, it's chalk. I'm going to put this on the handles, and I'm also going to make sure that I do 2 coats. So 2 coats on your piece at least, and then 2 coats on the handles, and then the black will just make this piece pop. There's a black on top, then I've got the black wax that will all tie in together so nicely. And then I'm going to use, once again, I'm going to use gold, but I'm not going to use the same gold I used the Poshchalk. I thought about it. I thought about using gold Poshchalk for this, and I thought that it would match. However, I'm going to go with a gold wax. All right, now we're going to put these handles on. As you can see from the side, I've got the decoupage on there. I'm putting these handles on, and you can see it matches quite nicely. I wish I had better lighting for this shot, but I'm in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm just working with what I have. I got a little bit of paint in there, so I'm just getting that out. But I don't force on any of the handles. This one, it didn't seem to fit in the top, so I'm going to move it to the bottom because I don't force. I go with what fits. We'll get these guys on, and then we'll be on our way, showing you the final product very soon, you guys. Get excited. Woo! And here they are, you guys. They look so, so good. The gold with the black and everything just worked out so well. And I know I bought them for less than $30, but I am going to be listing these for $425 on Facebook Marketplace as well. I'm going to put them on Kijiji here in Calgary for $425. Oh, there's my finger in the shot again. But I hope you guys had fun watching the transformation of these. I will be seeing if I'm going to match them up to the next piece, but that's the end of that. These are your beautiful French provincials. Thanks, everyone.